The shoulder injury was a snowboarding injury. My shoulder collided with the ice at possibly the speed of sound because I was flying, man. And as a result, I had shoulder separation and I popped my AC joint through my shoulder cap.
His shoulder was a classic example of a frozen shoulder, so he couldn't actually lift his shoulder, he couldn't actually hold a hairdryer. The problem with this is not that he's not strong enough to hold it up, it's really that, or that he has damage to muscles or ligaments or anything like that. The real problem is everything is driven by energy.
I had to take the cortisone to sleep at night. I actually couldn't sleep because of the pain. It was debilitating. You know, I've got two small young sons, and I couldn't even pick them up to give them a kiss.
It was really just a matter of getting the energy flowing through his shoulder again. But it was very, very blocked, which is, you know, different types of injuries take different times to heal, so that you can get a shoulder problem that looks identical to another shoulder problem, which looks identical to another shoulder problem, and one of them literally you'll fix in under 5 minutes. Another one will take you 2 hours, and another one will take 10 hours.
The surgery that they said was a must would definitely take me out of my business for at least 12 weeks. That alone was enough for me to really explore different avenues.
Stephen's a really good example of the conventional way of looking at structural problems in the skeleton. What we do is we make scans, or we scan with our mind. We think that we know the structural anatomy, so we determine what the problem is in our mind, or we have scans, and they show us some things, but what they don't show us are the energetic forces that make that structure the way it is.
When it did actually start becoming apparent that it in fact actually was working, it took me some time to actually recognise and actually, I suppose, believe the fact that it was working.
Really what we've got is a system that mirrors every physical structure in the body. Every single artery, every vein, every nerve, every tendon, every muscle has energy channels running through it. When the channels are actually blocked, they can be blocked because the energetic centers where they emanate are blocked. And so if those centers are blocked, they're going to block the channels. So you need not only to be able to open the channels, you need to be able to open the centers. Because if you can only open the channels, what happens is the centers will block them again.
The injury itself is completely healed. I don't have any residual pain. Now it's all about basically gaining back the muscles that I've lost. Retraining and regrouping that muscle group back to its glorious past.
About 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with ankylosing spondylitis. It's an autoimmune condition and it causes the joints to fuse together.
When Kalia came to me, she had the classic effects of ankylosing spondylitis, because what you really see in that symptomatology is that the shoulders are forward, the chest is hunched, and the whole neck comes forward, and it usually results in something like a hunchback.
The breathing for me was such a huge thing.
With her, she already had what were described as fused collarbones, and they described her ribs as being fused to the sternum, and it took about 15 minutes for her to actually be able to breathe properly for the first time in a couple of years. But it was really that the lung meridians were blocked. The problem with the contraction is that it actually pulls everything together with a force, and it looks as though you've got this problem of fusing, but in actual fact it's just the force that's pulling it together. When you get rid of that contraction so that it can just open naturally, you don't really have to fix anything, as it were. You just get rid of the contraction, and then the pain goes by itself, so you don't have to indulge yourself in medication and a whole lot of other things.
I'm down to half of my anti-inflammatory and it's going down and down and down. I'm so used to having to work really hard to get movement through doing yoga and swimming, and I always thought that was my only way of being able to open up.
In terms of treating arthritic type conditions, generally they come from a contraction and usually a severe contraction of energy in the channels. So if you don't look at it that way, then you have a problem, and the problem is that you're looking to alleviate the pain rather than get rid of the problem.